Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of our journey through Twelfth Night. And we will begin where you would expect, which is Act 1, Scene 1. And if I just get the pointer ready as well. So, here we are. And you might know a bit about the play already. I hope you do. I'm not going to explain a lot of the background, but I will do some of the context as we go through and talk about characters. And anyway, join me on this journey. Enjoy yourselves, and I plan to enjoy myself as well with this. So here we go. So opening scene, we have key character here, Orsino, Duke of Illyria. Illyria, again, a bit of the context is Illyria was a real place. It's really in real life on the Adriatic coast, but really it doesn't really matter so much because in Shakespeare's time, the general audience weren't very worldly wise. They didn't have a great understanding of geography, so Shakespeare's just set it somewhere that sounds foreign and exotic and interesting, and it lets him do certain things in the play that he wouldn't be able to do if he'd set it in England. So Orsino, we get him here as a romantic character. He's obsessed with love. A student of mine years ago put it really well, and I always just borrow this, which is the idea of Orsino is a character who's in love with the idea of being love. He's in love with the idea of being in love. And he doesn't really understand what love is at this point in the play, but by the time you get to the end, he does. So we have this really famous line, and it's written in iambic pentameter. Pentameter. That's a completely different thing. Iambic pentameter. If music be the food of love, play on. Give the excess of it that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die. So he's listening to music here. That strain again has a dying fall as he's listening to the music. He's really indulging in being sad about love, almost very much like a stereotypical lovesick teenager almost, even though he's older than that, but he's a little bit like that. If you think of it that way, it's like he's moping around in his bedroom, he's putting on love songs and dreaming of love, and he doesn't really understand it at this point. So this is Orsino, so he's got this idea about love. But anyway, he's indulging in this music. Shakespeare uses a nice simile here. It came over my ear like the sweet sound that breathes upon the bank of violets. And I haven't highlighted that for some reason, but that's a nice bit of personification there as well. Stealing and giving odour. And there is a bit of antithesis as well, stealing and giving. So he's getting all these, what Shakespeare's doing is presenting these mixed emotions as he's sitting there listening to the music, indulging in love. He's feeling all these different mixtures of feelings as he's doing it, and he's so, good word is like capricious. He's very kind of sudden in his decisions. He's very impulsive. Enough, no more. In the music, he's very inconstant. 'Tis not so sweet now as it was before. O spirit of love, how quick and fresh thou art. Thou. Actually, I'm going to highlight that one as well. That's a bit of apostrophe there, which is when you're invoking, not apostrophe as in what I always call the hovering tadpole. Not the punctuation mark apostrophe, but apostrophe when you address either God or the gods, as in like the ancient gods, or the embodiment of something. And that's apostrophe. It's the same spelling. How quick and fresh fresh art thou. So he's addressing the spirit of love there, and then his idea of saying it comes and goes, these feelings of love, even in a minute. Oh, I just did a bit of highlight. I forgot to switch back to the pointer. Such is Orsino's obsession with being in love and thinking about love. Curio, who is one of his servants, asks, "Will you go hunt, my lord?" Now that's a standard thing for an aristocrat to do. He's a duke, a high-ranking noble. So they would go hunting. In fact, ordinary people were banned from going hunting. You had to be of noble birth to hunt particular animals. And you go hunt, my lord. What Curio? The hart. He's not actually even listening to Curio. I mean, Curio says the hart, so he's thinking about a deer. Why so I do, the noblest that I have. He's only thinking about pursuing Olivia. Olivia is the object of his affections, and we will meet her very soon in Act 1 as well. When mine eyes did meet Olivia first, always more personification there. Well done, Shakespeare. There methought she purged the air of pestilence. That instant was I turned into a hart, and my desires like fell and cruel hounds ever since pursue me. So Shakespeare is using the polysemic double meaning of the word heart. He's using it like a phonological pun actually as well. I mean, obviously it's a different spelling to how we spell heart. In Shakespeare's time, they didn't have fixed spellings, so it wouldn't actually matter how you spell heart. You could spell it differently as long as it sounded right. So Shakespeare is making a little pun there on the idea of heart, as in obviously matters of romance versus the idea of hunting a heart. And then Shakespeare has Orsino, his obsession with love. The idea is that he's saying, I feel like I was a pursued hart myself, as in the deer. My desires like fell and cruel hounds ever since pursue me. So he's got this unrequited love for Olivia. And now we find out a bit more why Olivia isn't returning Orsino's overtures of love. So here is Valentine, and again, a word associated with romance as well. What news from her? So please, my lord, I might not be admitted. So we find out a bit of background about Olivia, is it? But like a cloisteress, she will veiled walk and water once a day her chamber round with eye-offending brine. So this is actually a metaphor. She's crying, she's grieving, she's wearing a veil, she's walking around, she's crying for her dead brother. And she would keep fresh and lasting in her sad remembrance. So in Shakespeare's time, death was really everywhere. It was like commonplace, and there was a socially accepted time of grieving, but you were expected to eventually move on with it. You know, you got to move on with your life. Death is all around you. It's just part of life. Move on. Don't necessarily be heartless about it, but to realise that life goes on. So Olivia is grieving maybe longer than normally someone would. Orsino, because he is really suffering from self-delusion, really, like he's in love with Olivia. When someone is blindly in love, logic doesn't actually make any sense. There's no logic when someone's in love. Orsino, or Shakespeare presents Orsino as seeing this as a positive. Because he's in love, oh, she that hath a heart of fine frame to pay this debt of love but to her brother, how will she love when the rich golden shaft hath killed the flock of all affections else that live in her? When liver, brain, and heart, these sovereign thrones are all supplied, and filled her sweet perfections with one self king. So he sees this as saying, well, if she can show this depth of grief for her brother for this long time, when she's over that means she's got loads of capacity to love me. This is really... So he sees it as a positive because he's delusional, effectively. Away from sweet beds of flowers, love thoughts lie rich and canopied with bowers. So now he's moved from immersing himself in the romance of music. Shakespeare then ends the scene, again, rhyming couplet here. You look with the iambic pentameter as well. Orsino's now going to immerse himself in flowers. He's now going to sit and think about love, but surrounded by flowers as well. So he's very, as we said before, capricious. He's moved from one thing to another. And again, he's very delusional, and he's seeing this messenger of saying, oh, she's not going to admit me to pass on your messages of love because she's so much in grief for her brother. Oh, brilliant. So there you go. That's Shakespeare establishing the main plot of the play, actually, and that is scene 1. So pretty short. We will move on to scene 2 on the next one. So follow these. I'm going to be making these as quickly as I can, and I hope you enjoy it. See you on the next one. Notification bell, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Goodbye.